What if you were able to discover your soul purpose to live your best life? So we're talking spirituality, being able to learn about your downloads, because maybe you're getting a lot of information and you think, well, I'm just very creative. It doesn't mean anything at all. Wow, I think all these things I don't hear other people talk about because maybe you have some people that are around you that don't really talk about this stuff, but you feel it inside you. You're welcome in here today because you may want to be one of those people that you're discovering this. Or maybe it's part of your life and you're like, I really want to know more about discovering about what my soul purpose is because I've been wondering about that. And wherever you come from, welcome in. My name is Rhonda Liebig. I am the founder, creator, producer, and host of Fresh Talks Global Vision. I believe we're all here to really lock arms together. I call it hashtag speaker locking arms. If we open our voice, the best life we can have is to stop blaming and shaming ourselves, but we discover how to love on people more because our heart starts growing and we start telling ourselves, I love you. It's the best way to start clearing it. So it's hashtag speaker locking arms. Today I have Sabine Goerke-Shrode. I know her as a spirit dancer. She is one, I love the way she moves. I love the way she talks. And this morning we were talking about just spirit and what you're learning and maybe some things that happened in the past that still are just right there in front of you that stop you from really being in full alignment. And so I asked Sabina to come in to start talking about these things she's learning about her journey. And I want her to talk about, I'm going to call it her soul map. She'll tell you what she wants to call it, but it really gives those pivot points of what's happened. And so we'll see where this goes. And we have just a few minutes with you, so hang in there. I love and appreciate you. Okay, so Sabine Goerke-Shrode, welcome in.
Good morning, Rhonda. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having this wonderful conversation. We started this a little bit earlier and kind of had a couple of breakthroughs, which is why we said, let's talk about this in this format. I've been musing on my life and how this unfolds and what the lessons are within. When you get older, I'm a little bit older, then you start to look back. I start to look back and go, what are the important points in my life? I call them switch points. There's certain points where I can just say, this is where my life went on a different path, and I can tell it. I always tell the story about how I met my husband, happily a young student in Germany, Heidelberg, on a river cruise, on a riverboat shuffle, and there was a band playing, and I was sitting there. I was thinking I had my life totally planned out. I was going to get a PhD. I was going to emigrate to a different country. I was going to work in archaeology. I would be an archaeologist. I had the job waiting for me. Everything was perfect. And then this very cute GI sax player hopped off the stage, came up to me and says, would you like to dance with me? And I said, yes. And that turned my life around 180 degrees because I emigrated to America to marry him. And I had to let go of the archaeology career, and I had to let go of the PhD, and I had to let go of a lot of things because I said yes. So that is probably one of the big turning points in my life. And I think we all have those moments in our life where we go, I thought I was going this way, and then this happened, or I met this person, or what, I made that decision. It's always a choice. But I've been wondering about that. And based on that, I've just been looking at my life going, so what are other points there that tell me who I am, what I am, why am I here? I mean, it is the question we all ask ourselves. Why am I here? What is my purpose here? Why am I living this life? And what am I supposed to learn in this life? And I've started to see some patterns in my life, and that's really where we were talking this morning, of how I lived with a person, how I had to work with a person. My wonderful husband we were married 36 years, and he passed away a few years ago. And there were lots and lots of learning lessons, living together, helping each other, serving each other. And there was that learning lesson in there. But I could see that pattern in earlier relationships with other people where I had to repeat, I don't know how to say that kind of supportive living. And at that point, I kind of went, no, I'm not ready yet. I don't want to be that, or I can do this far, but here's my boundary. And I was talking to Rhonda there. There was one moment where I realized I let go of one thing. And 3 months later, this turning point happened. And it was underlying the same story of serving and helping and supporting each other and learning to be with another being with all our weaknesses and all our foibles on both sides, and yet having a strong partnership moving forward. And that was the learning part in my life.
So Sabina, can I ask a question? You're saying some really good things. And so if I take go back just a little bit, because I'm loving your stories. First off, talking about that you had some breakthroughs this morning. And I love the conversation about you met Mark and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be living this life. I'm going, like you think you know what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden you were
when you're 24, you know what's going to happen, right? Oh my God.
So, can you give me the definition for yourself, what soul purpose means? Because this is what we're holding space for, is discover your soul purpose to live your best life. For you, what is that definition? What does soul purpose mean?
It's such a widely used concept nowadays, especially in new age philosophies. You have to know your soul purpose, and it has to be, the dream life, this big goal that we all have. And I don't see it that way. Soul purpose is how you can be, for me, the best you, living the best life. And that doesn't have to be, reflecting out into the world in a huge way. It means being true to your inner self, being aligned with who you are as a soul, and then working with whatever challenges or opportunities to grow the universe brings to you. And for me, when I looked back, it was working with somebody and being able to serve without losing myself in the serving.
Yeah, I felt that before. Yeah,
that was the balance in it. And I could see that in those 3 earlier points where I had to say boundary, 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 because I wasn't ready for it. But I had enough self-preservation thinking of saying, I can't go there. If I go there, I will lose myself.
There's been another question, because I want to just go in deeper with this soul purpose. And when you're saying align with your soul, like align, what can we backtrack and just give a little more spiritual kind of information here? Like, what does that mean? You're aligned with your soul as a human on this moving earth, and what does that mean for you? And what you're sharing with others?
We are a soul living a human life. We chose that life to learn whatever we can learn, good and bad, to bring forward and then move on into a next life. So for me, when I say I want to be connected to my higher self, it means that higher self, soul self, that flows in me, and I can hear it, I can feel it, or I can ignore it. Choice. And many people struggle with that concept.
Yeah, because when we get here, we really forgot like what we're doing here. You know, we're like, oh, we're just in the drama of life, but you're actually going in and saying, hey, you can have a different life. And when you start looking at this in another angle, um, everything that feels
Mm,
hard,
yeah,
it's actually just a space for you to learn. So
it
when,
is.
as a spirit dancer, what do you think that you are learning? Because we were just talking about this, but give you space too. What are you learning about yourself as a spirit dancer, and what you're discovering about the things that you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to, I need to riff on that, or think about, because something else just came up. Like, because I think about that every day. Like, what do I want for clearing? Or I'm in the woes me and I catch myself, or I don't catch myself. So what are you learning about yourself in this
Yeah.
spirit dancer world and being able to guide people around this soul purpose?
One thing, and that I can go multiple directions right now, but one thing I always remind myself, and we've talked about that, is any person I interact with, I remind myself this is another soul. That soul chose to be that person.
Yeah.
And I can look at them person to person. Sometimes you don't click, but soul to soul, I can say, I honor you for your choice.
Yeah.
And I see you as the soul you are. And then I can have an open heart to that person, whether we click or not, whether I agree with what their life choices or not. And that's really hard when it's somebody who's homeless, or, or is really struggling with some issues, and you go and look at them and say, I honor you for choosing that life to learn those challenges.
And I get
That's a
what you're
different
saying.
approach than just judging. It's that recognizing they chose that.
Yeah.
Their soul needed to learn something, just as my soul needs to learn something.
Yeah.
And for me, I think looking back is really this balance between staying true to myself and yet serving another person, and not losing the boundaries in between. There's a balance between that for me.
Is that like a shielding when we're talking spiritual? Like when we say boundaries, is that a shielding?
Yes, it's the true to yourself. I know who I am. I love who I am.
Yeah.
I honor who I am. I can do a lot for you. I can be a volunteer all over the place. I mean, there's so many ways of serving, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that I have to give up who I am. I am
Yeah.
who I am,
And then
and
not, yeah, and then
recognize,
not trying to help everybody too. I hear
right.
what you said there. Hmm.
And it also is this: I recognize where I have my, yeah, boundary is a strong word, but where I end and the next person begins, and I don't take that on, which is
Oh, I
a
love
lot
that. Okay,
for
so
me.
I want to hear one more story from you, because I know we're doing a short conversation here. So if you're doing this work, like what you're saying, you're going in some really good stuff here about not taking on everybody's, like, woes me, because you're saying, hey, to stay healthy, to be in this space and to keep moving forward and keep learning about your soul purpose, like discovering your soul purpose to live your best life, that you're saying, keep listening to yourself. And if you are in this space, and like how this could look in your real life, so that things don't take you down, like, because sometimes people will have people just keep coming at them, help me, help me, help me. People are throwing money at them, or like trying to help them, and you just think, oh my god, I feel sorry for people, I feel sorry for people. But when you start doing this work, something else happens where you connect with people differently. So can I share a story real quick, and I want you to finish it off with a story around something that you're discovering, something you experienced, or how you want to share. So I was at a place on last weekend, and I walked into the room. I was the first person there, and I walked upstairs, and I was there for a moment, came back down, and the whole room was full. didn't know anybody in that room. Now, when I first walked in, I didn't know for sure if I was going to know somebody. So when I walked back in, doing this soul purpose work for me is that I already know them. And I didn't say it to myself. It was something I just stepped into and honoring that my spirit is here with others, and how many people can I get to talk to, because I want to talk to everybody, because I used to be the opposite of that. I used to be scared to talk to new people. I used to be afraid, and it was more on the exterior. People seeing that, whatever my things were that were going on subconsciously, I'd be saying that to myself, and I would try and separate myself from people, to where this soul purpose work, it just, I just took a deep breath and I was like so excited, but I was also grounded with it because I wasn't nervous about, like, how do I act? What do I say? Oh, they're saying this to me. It was just like, I was there and present. That's how I feel I'm learning. And there's some points when I've had, not such good situations because I was so much in the head and the way I was showing up in more of the work. If I'm not doing my work that day and being present, I can show up differently. Where is it in your life that you're discovering these things where you're watching yourself accelerate, but if I didn't do my work today and really clearing, or not just learning earthly learning like in a linear timeline, but if I didn't do my spiritual work to really discover my spirit and why I'm here, the work that you do every day, that you would have showed up differently, but you showed up this way? What are some experiences or a story you have lately where you've gone into a room, in a Zoom room or in person, all of a sudden you just feel like, I've arrived, I'm so happy to be here, but it was connected with other spirits more than just, this is my body, I'm connecting to another person instead of a spirit? Does that make sense?
One of the things, that resonates with me, I was in a bigger meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I typically get drawn to people who have a high frequency, high vibration. It just, we draw each other because we're vibrating alike. And so there was this one woman, and she was just gorgeous. And I just walked up to her and we started talking, and it was like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And so I told her, you are my gift for the day today. I get to meet you, and I really enjoy you, and can I invite you too? And she did come to our next meeting, and so I'm looking forward to a new friendship. And that is when you walk in and you recognize people in their beauty.
Yeah.
And then it really go, I think I can connect to you on a different way than with many other people. Show it.
Yeah.
Go show it. And then these miracles happen of, oh my God, we love each other.
Yeah. I love that, especially when you're in alignment, so you're feeling that frequency, and it's just you're letting your body naturally draw instead of withdrawal and be a just observer. You're like, you're just naturally, that's a spirit process, and then also being able to give somebody love like that. I come again. I like just so welcoming instead of like, do I sound like I'm this or that? I'm not going to say that or whatever. You're just being.
When I say I love somebody or so, it is open heart love. It's just open your heart and let that resonate, and it resonates back, and you just go, oh, this is a gift. And then acknowledge that in words, you are my gift for the day. And that is just beautiful, because we don't tell people that too enough.
Yeah, I live my life like that now, but it's because of the spirit work. It's because of this discover your soul purpose to live your best life. It is that, because I know no matter what room I'm in, I have told people that I love them and I don't get the reciprocal part, but it's like when you give that open heart, you're not asking for anything except just giving. And it's a very interesting thing, because before you started doing this soul work, or you haven't done it yet, you're like, well, why did that happen or whatever? But just lean into what this conversation is. So Sabina, thank you so much for sharing you. Thank you for sharing you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Fresh Talks Global Vision. And if you haven't been part of our community, I'll make sure I put a link there so you get into, we have like 10,000 plus people in our group now. And I want you to know that whatever you feel and think, it is part of learning about your soul purpose here. Make sure you connect with Sabine Goerke-Shrode. She was speaking about her timeline. If you want some of that type of work, we'll make sure that you find a way to get connected with her, because those pivot points, however she was saying it, I heard the pivot word there, that it could change your whole world and how you feel about your body, your health and wellness, not being stressed in your body, trying to figure out how to show up certain ways, but just being with yourself and allowing everything just to speak through you, so you don't feel like your brain has to keep calculating. So I invite you into that. Love you and namaste. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.